I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, real people, real conversations, and real success. And one of the coolest things that I get to do throughout time is interviewing and meeting these amazing people and these thought leaders that truly make a difference for our lives. And what's critically important, for all of us is that we're brought into this world and we don't necessarily get all the tools or the manuals or the things that we need to learn so that we really can fulfill our lives to the fullest. And clearly one of the challenges that, affect many of us, if not all of us, are the obstacles, in our way. And so learning how to handle these obstacles is a key component to our own personal success. Here again, when you have these obstacles that you're facing, it's quite easy to just simply bug out, just not go ahead. Why? Because you're not pushed that way, you're not trained that way, you're not supported that way, you're not encouraged that way. And so what if there was a sport out there that's accessible to everyone, young and old, girl and boy, and whether you have all access to all your parts of the body or not, even your head. So what if there was a sport out there that could absolutely change your life, and so that you would no longer fear obstacles? And that is exactly what Al Rosen has done. And I welcome you, Al, to this platform. Really excited to be talking to you, because what you've done over the last 1 to 2 years is really quite remarkable, and I've never seen anything like it before. And I say this because I've also been part of this. I've also experienced this concept that you've put together, and it's totally transformed my life, and it's transformed the life of my own kids. So, Al, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us, what's the background a little bit here? Because, all your life you've been a coach, right? You've coached pretty much every single sport that's out there. And now you've created this amazing sport that, forevermore people will be able to enjoy, and because of their participating in something that otherwise most people never thought of.
Well, it goes back. My whole background has been in athletics. I guess there's thousands of people out there that refer to me as coach, and I've coached in be it football, basketball, baseball, track, etc. I owned a gym for almost 29 years, the third gym in the history of Tampa, trained hundreds of professional D1 athletes. So I guess I've always been referred to as coach. But what happened, I created this sport. I was going through a kind of a tough time in my life. And I had to come up with a concept. And I looked around my gym. I saw women. It was because it started first with women. Once I got done with high school, there wasn't a lot of sports out there. It was perhaps a bodybuilding show, or perhaps a 5K or a marathon race, but there wasn't a lot out there to actually challenge somebody, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, even socially. So I came up with this concept with a background in gymnastics, where in gymnastics, I didn't invent the wheel when I created track fitness. The women's gymnastics had 4 elements, and 2 of my daughters were elite gymnasts, so I was around it quite a bit. And those elements are the floor routine, bars, balls, and balance beam. So what I did was I said, let me come up with a sport that had these elements, that's played on a fair, level playing field. Everybody has the same advantages. And let me create a sport which is challenging, yet accomplishable, and where people will feel good about themselves and walk away with it, feeling the power of accomplishment. So in 1997, I came up with the concept of tri-fitness and it had actually started with 3 different athletic elements. It started with the obstacle course, which is the oldest obstacle course in the world and the only one which is part of the sport. It has never changed. It's a 160-yard sprint obstacle course, 10-foot wall, hurdles, 15-foot cargo net, incline monkey bars, etc. Okay, so the test and measurements, once somebody ran that obstacle course, they could come back year after year, a couple times a year, and challenge themselves on the exact 160-yard course. That way, we're dealing with apples. Okay, so once you set a benchmark for a time, that's your time, and you can come back and challenge that time. Then the other fitness elements were we created a thing called fitness skills, and that actually had three elements: being a 10 beanbag shuttle run, which shows agility and speed. Then we had box jumps, which showed explosion, strength, endurance. Jumping 18 inches from a chair floor onto a box, 20-inch box with the 2-inch chair floor, making the 18-inch jump. And then for a strength element, we put in the bench press. And I came up with a concept. Since then, a few other people maybe have done themselves, where an athlete lifts a percentage of their body weight. Women being 60% and men 80%. So these three elements made up the fitness skills. Then we had a fitness routine, which, kind of like a cheerleading or gymnastic or dance routine, show choreography, flexibility, strength, endurance, execution, okay, which they had fun putting together a routine. And the thought back then was there might have been a lot of women who were 42 years old that when they were 6 years old or 8 years old, 10 years old, never had a chance to be on stage and do a dance recital. Right. Or there might have been women who did do it and missed it. So we brought that element in there also as the third try fitness event. Since then, we added another one called the 230-yard True Grit. Now, there's also a event inside it, which is called Grace and Physique. Now, that is where women get on stage and show their physique that's attained by intense training and proper nutrition. So it's actually a byproduct of the nutrition and the intense training that they're doing, and that they are proud of. It's a physique which is attainable and that they will be proud of. So all these elements make up the Tri Fitness. And since then, we've had kids as young as 2 or 3 years old doing a shuttle run and True Grit, etc. And women as old as 82.
Wow. Yeah, and my own kids, actually participated in this after, I got enrolled. This was many, many years ago. And, I felt like a little kid myself again. And it was a remarkable experience. And what was even more remarkable, and something that you've created, which I think is absolutely unique in the sport that you have, and you've figured out this chemistry of competition and encouragement and support and community all at the same time. Typically with sports, it just seems that people are just competing against each other and they just don't like somebody else beating them. There's that tough, aggressive kind of competitive spirit. Whereas here, it's just amazing because what happens is that everybody's supporting each other, they're encouraging each other, whatever age you are, and it creates this beautiful spirit that's what I call very generative. It's really building up. And so, in essence, what's happening is that you got the support from this very diverse community that allows you to be that best version of yourself, and at the same time, participate in the competition and get rewarded if you're first. But then again, everyone in their own way, have won because they were able to perform at the highest level. So my question for you, because you've been doing this for 22 years and it's grown immensely, and it's held here in Tampa every year towards, the early summer, end of spring, but you have people coming from all over the world. And so share some stories of some of the participants over time, what it's been like for them and how it's really changed their life.
Well, like I said, not only does it help people challenge people physically, but socially, mentally, emotionally. Uh, we created what we call the Tri Fitness family. So once you do a Tri Fitness challenge, you're stuck with us. You're part of our family forever. And the athletes that do it, they come back each year looking to see their so-called sisters and brothers, people they've met, over the last 10, 12, 20 years. We have a woman that comes in every year from South Africa. Not only does she come to challenge herself, but she comes to be a part of family, be a part of something big, and to try to beat her previous times, etc. You asked me for some stories. Probably the stories I think of right now. I flash back to a person that you knew back around 2001. We were getting ready for Las Vegas. I got a call from a woman up in the Boston, Massachusetts area saying, "Do you think I could do the event?" And I said to her, "You want to do the event?" She said, "I really want to do it, but I've had a double lung and double kidney transplant." I said, "Could you run?" She said, "I can run. I've been doing some transplant 100-yard dash track meets." I said, "Well, if you can run," I said, could you do a half a chin up?" She said, "Yes, I can." I said, "Well, then you could probably flip over a carbonet." But to see this woman over the next 10 years come every year, despite all her medical problems and what she's been through, hundreds of hospital visits, challenge herself and be successful and be a role model for her son. Recently, when I flash back to 1 year ago, almost 1 year ago to 2 weeks ago, I see on Facebook one of our competitors who about 3 or 4 years ago contacted me and said, "I want to do the event. My friend's doing the event. I've had a couple of heart surgeries." I said, "Did the doctor clear you?" "Doctor cleared me. I can do anything." I said, "Well, if he cleared you, you want to do it, we'll be there to support you. We'll be there to spot you." She came and did it. Okay. Brought her family, very supportive husband. And then I guess it was about 14 months ago, she got sick. She needed a heart transplant. Okay. And she lives up in Tennessee. And so many people in Tri Fitness followed her journey. And it was tough. She went got through the surgery, but she had some bad reactions, like any possible transplant. A couple of close calls. Then suffered 2 strokes, which led her to be now legally blind. Well, all along we kept in touch. 3 months ago, she contacted me. "Al, I really want to do it." I said, "Well, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. Okay, as long as you have medical clearance, and even if you don't, if we got to carry you from hospital to hospital just to cross the finish line, you're part of our family." So these type of stories, or right now, and I constantly deal with women that are going through bad divorces. They're down. They feel like they've been beaten up. Well, through our Tri Fitness family, we hope to inspire them to get their ass back up. Okay, come out and challenge themselves because we're their family. And the stories go on. I have another one up in Mississippi who's in bad health. And she's right now going to go on more treatment for a couple serious things. She said, "Al, I'm going to be there." So it's not the athlete that finishes first or breaks a world record time, who I sincerely appreciate, because I appreciate the athletic ability, but it's the person who's down on their they've been smacked in the face. They're facing obstacles. Now look at this obstacle course as a challenge, like the obstacles in life. You want to get on the starting line, and their goal is to cross that finish line and be hugged by hundreds of their friends. These are the things that really impact me and make me go on.
Yeah, and it's truly an experience. And when you go there, either as a participant or as a spectator, right away you fall in love with the whole concept. And so I'm kind of curious, because I'm sure you've seen all these other incredible programs out there like the Spartan and Savage Race and Tough Mudder and all that. And those are pretty amazing, races as well. How do you feel that you're so different than them? I mean, what's the big difference you feel?
Well, I respect those. I call those events. Those are tough events that people challenge themselves, and I respect those. Ours is because of all the tests and measurements. It's more of a sport. It's more like a football. You don't change a 100-yard football field, nor in baseball. The pitching mound to home plate 60 feet 6 inches. So all our stuff over 22 years and close to 100 challenges has been measured out right to the inch. So whatever you run on the obstacle course or in the shuttle run or in the true grid or the box jumps, you have a mark to be able to go back and to challenge yourselves. So I think that's probably the biggest difference versus the event versus the sport.
Because I've done those events and they're actually a lot of fun. But I think the big distinction as well that I found is that you've created a whole community. And perhaps because it's smaller or because it's different or the concept's different. And so there's a lot of camaraderie with everyone, and rather than small groups or as individuals. And so that's what I think is amazing about what you've created. And certainly as a community, you're impacting everyone and everyone is impacting each other. And from the perspective of, how can you transform life? And that's the work that I do very much so is, how do I support people? How do I encourage people? Or how do I enlighten people to transform their lives so that they can be the best version of yourself? You have an entire community that's already doing that. And I think that's pretty amazing. You have another story, and it's an amazing story as well. And that's this little guy called Milton. You want to share a little bit about that? And I think it's pretty powerful, and it's a beautiful story that people should hear about.
Well, probably a lot of people out there have seen it over the internet. Milton actually turns 57 years old in about 4 weeks, I guess, on May 21st. It's a story that I won't go too much into because people could see the documentary. But my brother and I, back in 1977, we had just opened up the Body Shop gym, and my brother started dating a girl. He met her in the nightclub he was working in, and it turned out she had a brother. He had Down syndrome. He was turning 15 years old. The next day, my brother, Bruce, said, well, let me take him out also. And he went and picked him up on May 21st, 1977, his birthday, took him to Circus World, and basically forgot to return him back to the nasty foster home where he only owned one shirt, slept on a bed with no sheet, and they were getting ready to send him off to North Florida to a state mental hospital. And that was way before they had computers, and I'm not sure who was in charge of what, but on June 4th, 1977, 2 weeks later, we had complete custody of Milton. Man. And we had just opened up a gym. Back then, there wasn't a gym on every corner, and our gym was kind of like the Tri Fitness. It was one big family. It was called the Body Shop, and you can find it all over the internet. And the Body Shop consisted of everybody. Over 300 professional athletes trained there. You had police officers, firemen, college and high school students, the state attorney, to every type of person out there. So it was, and the thing that I think that made our gym so much different than what today's gyms are, you could walk in and work in with anybody. You could walk up to Rocky Johnson or Ric Flair or Haku or baseball players like Steve Henderson or Joe Carter or Vinny Testaverde or whoever, and say, "Can I work in with you?" And you go, and they go ahead and spot you, work in. It wasn't, people didn't have cell phones that hung out on a bench and took up equipment, for 20 minutes back in those days. And the body shop gym was actually a family. You had people that basically lived there. They lived in when they got done working out, they just hung around the parking lot, or we had a basketball court out in the back. Okay, or we're playing touch football or stickball in the back, and it was just hundreds of guys that formed this community, and Milton became the common denominator. He became the glue that held this place together. Milton was overweight, 60 pounds, and we were 23 years old. We weren't rocket scientists. We just figured out that we gave him protein shakes and we have him lift weights. He'll get stronger. He'll get bigger. He'll be like the rest of us. And it proved to be true, because over the next few years, he eventually got up to 138, 140 pounds, bench pressing 275 pounds. So we started entering him in mainstream bench press contests, at 130 pound body weight. We go and lift 270 pounds, double his body weight. And then the Special Olympics came out with weightlifting. So then Milton became the key figure to this whole thing. So we figured if we did it with Milton, we could do it with everybody. The next thing you know, we got 30, 40 special needs people in the gym. And we had help. We didn't do it ourselves. We had a whole community. Like I said, we had all the guys that went to Jesuit high school. Half of them are now attorneys in Tampa. They come over and they spot them. We each take 3 or 4 kids. And they weren't even kids. They were 20, 30 years old. And we believed anything was accomplishable. And so many of them were able to lift 135 pounds. The Olympic bar with 245s on each side. And we didn't have any limitations. Basically, they wanted to do it. We told them, you want to do it? You work hard enough, you'll be able to do it. So, as people see in the documentary, back in 1977, not only did we have Milton moves in 6 months later, a little 5-year-old boy and his parents, because back then wrestling was a road show. You went from territory to territory. You might be in Dallas for 3 months, in Georgia for 3 months, then come down here to Florida for the next 3 months. Well, Rocky Johnson was a top professional wrestler, and at the time he had a 5-year-old son named Dwayne Johnson. And they moved into our house because they were only going to be in town for 3 months. So Milton at 15 years old, had a 5-year-old roommate named Dwayne Johnson. And as Dwayne goes on and tells in the short documentary, there was a key thing in his life and Milton's life, and there's a lot more to be told.
Awesome. Well, you know what? It's a real honor and a privilege to know you, to hang around with you, to participate in all the ways that I can in your events, including this interview, because you've truly done something that is quite remarkable. And because on a very large scale, you're changing people's lives like no one else is. And yeah, coaching is a wonderful thing, and it's part of that transformative process. But you've created a whole experience that people can have and really have this opportunity to overcome the fear, overcome the obstacle, and really succeed. And doing that consistently and getting the support and the training and encouragement to do this obstacle course and with great success and having a lot of fun and a lot of camaraderie. And I think that's really, truly unique. And so I applaud you, Al, for doing this, and I'm very grateful to be in your life, and I think you've inspired my kids as well. And my hope is that people will be inspired by this interview to find out more about you, to find more about Milton, but most importantly, to participate in the next TriFit competition. Now, when is that?
Okay, the next one is coming up in 4 weeks, May 25th and May 26th. And if it wasn't for people like you and about 80 other friends who come out and give me a hand, as photographers, as spotters, as timers, okay, you all just make me look good, okay? Because Tri Fitness isn't Al Rosen. Tri Fitness is Dr. Bar Rademaker and the other 80 people who are out there giving their time, cheering these athletes on, encouraging these athletes, empowering them, and that's what Tri Fitness is all about. So I want to thank you, Dr. Bar Rademaker, for helping me last 22 years, and everybody else.
Well, you're the best, and I want to thank you again as well. So I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, Real People, Real Conversations, Real Success. I do need to know one thing. How do people find you?
Okay, they can find at Tri Fitness at trifitnesschallenge.com. And if anybody wants to see the documentary, which is all over the internet, they could Google Milton McBride Rosen / Dwayne Johnson or The Rock, Milton McBride Rosen and The Rock, and it's all over the place.
And I'll add a link to this as well. So once again, I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, talking to Al Rosen, the incredible man behind the Tri-Fit competition. And once again, I want to thank you. Al?
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Dr. Rademaker's Prescription for Your Transformation. Continue the path towards discovering your own authentic genius by tuning in next time for more real conversations with real people.